Two things that attract earthworms fast, turning dead soil into living gold. If you've ever dug into your garden soil and spotted a fat, wriggling earthworm, you know the thrill. Earthworms aren't just garden critters, they're nature's master tillers, composters, and soil engineers. A garden rich in earthworms is a garden that breathes, drinks, and thrives. But here's the big question most gardeners ask: how do you actually attract more earthworms into your soil? Today on SoilSage Chronicles, we're diving deep into two powerful, time-tested methods that will have earthworms flocking to your garden like bees to blossoms. Whether you're a brand new gardener just learning the ropes or a seasoned grower looking to boost your soil life, these two strategies will change the way you see your dirt. So grab your gloves, fellow soil lovers, and let's talk worm magic. Before we get into the worm bait, let's pause and remind ourselves why earthworms are so treasured. These little creatures quietly build the foundation for everything we grow. They tunnel through the soil, creating natural irrigation channels that improve drainage and air circulation. Their castings, yes, worm poop, are packed with nutrients, enzymes, and beneficial microbes that boost plant health in ways no chemical fertilizer can match. In other words, more worms means healthier soil, which leads to stronger, more resilient plants. But earthworms don't just appear out of nowhere, they're selective. If your soil is compacted, lifeless, or constantly disturbed, they'll head elsewhere. Which brings us to the two irresistible things you can add that will transform your garden into a worm paradise. If there's one thing earthworms can't resist, it's organic matter. Imagine walking into a buffet where every dish is your favorite. That's exactly how worms feel when you enrich your soil with decomposable plant and kitchen waste. Earthworms feed on decaying organic material. As they munch, they break it down and pass it through their bodies, leaving behind castings that are 5 to 10 times richer in nutrients than the surrounding soil. The more organic matter you provide, the more worms you'll attract and the more fertile your soil becomes. The easiest way to supply worms with their favorite food is to use mulch and compost. Layer shredded leaves, grass clippings, and plant trimmings over your soil surface. As this mulch decomposes, worms will rise up at night to feed and then drag it down into their burrows. Over time, this creates a rich, humus-like soil that stays moist and full of life. Compost is another gold mine. Spread a thick layer of well-aged compost directly onto your beds, and worms will come running. Even better, incorporate unfinished compost, materials still breaking down. Worms love the variety of textures and nutrients. If you want to take it a step further, try trench composting. Dig a shallow trench right in your garden, fill it with kitchen scraps like fruit peels, vegetable cuttings, or coffee grounds, and cover it back with soil. Within days, worms will discover the buried feast and set up camp. Alright folks, here's a little tip for you. Avoid adding too much meat, dairy, or oily food scraps directly to your soil. You see, they can attract pests before worms get to them. Stick with plant-based matter, and you'll be giving your soil life exactly what it craves. Now let's talk moisture. Organic matter may be the buffet, but moisture is the invitation. Without the right amount of water, worms simply won't stay. Earthworms breathe through their skin, which must stay moist for oxygen exchange. If your soil is bone dry, it becomes unlivable. On the flip side, waterlogged soil suffocates them just as quickly. So, what's the secret? It's all about balance. You want your soil to feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp, but not soggy. Mulching plays a huge role here again, because it acts like a protective blanket. A thick mulch layer locks in soil moisture, slows evaporation, and creates a stable environment worms adore. In dry seasons, consider deep watering your beds rather than frequent shallow sprinkles. Deep watering encourages moisture to penetrate the soil where worms live and feed, while shallow watering often evaporates before reaching them. If your soil tends to dry out quickly, adding organic matter will help with moisture retention. That's right. Food for worms also doubles as a natural sponge, holding water longer, and creating an environment that sustains worm populations. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are especially effective in keeping soil evenly moist without waterlogging. Unlike overhead watering, which can compact the soil surface, these methods deliver steady moisture right where worms and roots need it. And remember, never let your garden beds bake bare under the hot sun. Worms retreat deep underground when the surface dries out. Keep that protective mulch blanket in place, and you'll encourage worms to stay active near the topsoil, right where they do the most good. So what happens when you combine organic matter with consistent moisture? You create a worm utopia. Picture this: a garden bed topped with a thick mulch of shredded leaves and straw, watered deeply once or twice a week and, occasionally enriched with a handful of compost or buried food scraps. Within just a few weeks, the soil becomes loose, dark, and absolutely full of life. You'll notice tunnels weaving through the dirt, aerating it naturally. Your plants will perk up, leaves deepening in color and growth accelerating. And when you take a spade to that bed, you'll see dozens of worms wriggling in every scoop. That's not just luck. It's proof that you've built an environment where soil life thrives. When I first started gardening, I'll be honest, I thought worms were just lucky hitchhikers. It wasn't until I started paying attention to what they loved that my soil transformed. I remember one season when I left a bed mulched with nothing but shredded fall leaves. By spring, those leaves had almost vanished, and in their place was fluffy, worm-rich soil that smelled just like the forest floor. That was my aha moment. Ever since, I've focused less on fancy fertilizers and more on feeding the soil, and the worms. And the payoff? Healthier plants, better harvests, and far less work in the long run. Attracting earthworms isn't complicated. Give them organic matter to eat and moisture to breathe, and they'll do the rest. These two simple practices create a self-sustaining cycle of soil improvement that no store-bought product can match. So, the next time you're tempted to reach for a quick-fix fertilizer, pause and think like a worm. Layer on organic matter, water wisely, and let the hidden workforce beneath your feet turn your soil into a living, thriving ecosystem. If this deep dive into worm attraction has sparked new ideas for your own garden, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment with your experiences, and let's keep the SoilSage community thriving. Don't forget to subscribe to SoilSage Chronicles for more time-tested soil wisdom and practical gardening hacks. And if you found this article helpful, share it with a fellow gardener, because healthy soil is a gift worth spreading.